My 11th Circle presents Cricbuzz Live. Yet again, Mohammad Shami finishing things off in the end, just like he did against Afghanistan. The small difference, actually the massive difference, was that West Indies weren't 11 runs away. They were far, far away from their target, and the Indian bowlers clinically finishing them off for just 143, having put on 268, which now in context of the way the West Indies batted looks like 368. Which means, of course, two things. The West Indies are, of course, officially out. We were sort of keeping them on the cusp for a while, but there's one comment on the Cricbuzz up that really sums it up for me at the end. When the spinners came on for a few and the West Indian tailenders were having a bit of a party, there was just one comment that said, Kohli's had enough, here's Shami, finish it off in one ball. And I think that just shows not just the power of the Indian pace bowlers, but the faith that Virat Kohli has in them to do the job. Still in the studio, Joy Bhattacharjya, Robin Uthappa. Many ways you could describe that performance. Clinical is one that comes to mind.
I think clinical is the apt one. You know, you knew that with this bowling attack, you put up a score, you know that they're always up for the challenge, and that's why I said 30th over, no matter what the score, India would have won the game. And because I have immense faith in this bowling attack, I'm sure like the rest of the country does. You know that when these guys go out there, they mean business. And even when you look just in connection with this match particularly, where it's being played, the wicket and all those conditions, you knew that the spinners would also come into play. They would be effective. You knew Hardik would be effective because of the wicket. So you knew that. And so for me, it's a very expected performance.
And when the amount of chatter we had about that 268, was it enough, how much above, below, you look at a total like this and you say, well, I mean, at the end you didn't really look for 330.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm looking the other way. I'm just so happy, you know, when you're growing up in the 70s, 80s, you know, Roberts holding. So the fast bowlers giving trouble is always at the other end, you know. And for here, the way Bumrah and Shami, the way they bowled, I mean, see, the spinners did their job and that's expected. You always expect Indian spinners to do well. But that first spell from both sides, the way they bowled, the way they completely locked them in that first 5, 7, 8 overs, the match was over then. I mean, the spinners then went and reinforced it, then the fast bowlers came and finished it off, but really the match was over in the first 10.
And what you can see here is they really had no escape. Even your 5th or 6th bowler, be it even a Kedar Jadhav coming in just for the 1 over, Hardik Pandya was impactful. We had shown you what the West Indian bowlers did. Their 5th bowler going for 96 runs in the 10 overs, and that was so different. There was no escape really for the West Indian batsmen.
No, there wasn't, because the bowling performance was just clinical, right? There's only that much we can say to something that's so clinical. It's just been like out and out dominance, and not just the fast bowlers, even the spinners. You know, yeah, in the end they went. You know, they were trying to purchase a wicket, so they went for a few runs. But if you negate that, then you see that, you know, the performance has been out and out dominance.
Yeah, 114 for 8. If there was a small surprise, it was that maybe Virat Kohli just decided to give his spinners just an extra couple of overs. He could have gone back to Bumrah at that very stage.
Yeah, only one real partnership there. If you look at it, it's basically Ambrish and Puran. That's the only partnership about 50 odd that had any value. Other than that, they just lost wickets in a steady stream, and it's very interesting. Looking at this, for India, the biggest question is going to be, how do you drop Shami after this?
Or how do you get in Bhuvaneshwar?
Yeah, how do you get in Bhuvaneshwar?
Yeah, I think that's
the only question you can ask yourself after this performance.
But I would reckon that the simple answer to that is you don't drop Shami, and you just look at, if you have to get another seamer, the person who can be sacrificed is one of the tourist spinners perhaps, and the only word used is sacrificed.
Yeah, so you know, it's a tough call, but I think it's a good problem to have. Honestly, I think any team would love to be in a situation where they have to make that kind of a choice. So I don't think they're thinking about that. I think they're thinking about, you know, what do we have next in line, who are we playing next, and I think that's what they're focusing on, because they have to play, before this game they had to play 4 games in 9 days. Now they've got to play 3 games in 8 days. So let's see what lays ahead for them.
Now, Robin, I'm going to take that one step forward. He said for India, like India should be focusing on what lies ahead. What about those opponents focusing on India? Because 2 out of 3 are in a must-win situation. Well, really, if you look at it in a way, probably even all 3. All 3 out of 3 are in a situation where they can't really afford to lose. England for sure. England first up, you thought that they would be, at least a semi-final place would be sealed by the time the big India-England game came. Yeah. What's the message that goes out to England now? Seeing
England would be afraid. As in, not to be so brutal, but they would be intimidated for sure, because they're coming up against an extremely strong Indian side, one that's dominating this tournament. They've dominated every team, including Australia, who sits on top of the table. And you know that these guys have a must-win game, and they wouldn't want to have it against a team like India. So they will be intimidated, and I think they'll just throw the kitchen sink at it. They'll just come and say, let's just do our best and see, let's look at where the pieces fall.
And what would worry teams more, a team like England more, is that it's not that India have been invincible. India have come through tough situations and ticked the boxes. They've had been up against it, they've ticked the boxes.
Absolutely. It's not as if every match has been a cakewalk, so you're waiting for your one bad day. You had a really bad day against Afghanistan. It wasn't. You didn't have a great day, but you made it through. And that's actually very good. It's, as they say, those character wins that you need to have got it. And see, England is in a desperate position, but the other two, they may be a situation, they might still be in the fray, they might not also. If you see Bangladesh and Sri Lanka, both of them are in situations where by that period of time, both's fate might even have been settled by then,
Bangladesh, we reckon, probably should still be in the fray, because no matter what happens, they have a chance to go to 9. We're talking about 9 being the absolute bare minimum number. It could be different teams on 9. 11 is the number you're looking at to really qualify for the semi-finals, probably even with net run rate coming into play.
Yeah, 11 I think now is a sure, 11 is a sure shot. Those 3 teams are gone through. I reckon even if there's a 4th team, it will be 11, it won't be higher than that. So I can't see 2 of those other teams landing up on 11. So basically you have a situation then that if those 2 don't, then New Zealand and India reasonably and through, and both their net run rates are so positive that it will be difficult. It won't be dented even if they lose. So that leaves you in a situation that 4th spot could be a 9 as well. And
yeah, because England also know that if they lose to India, their only chance of getting through is, they're not going to be getting to 12 points. So with 10 points, they'll be sitting in that zone of uncertainty.
Yeah.
So, I mean, lots of worries for England.
Well, the worries are aplenty for sure, but it's they don't have anybody else to blame but themselves to find themselves in the position that they are. They're a real good team, but they just haven't come good when it matters, and against teams that everyone in the world expected them to beat, right? They expected them to beat Pakistan. You expected them to beat Sri Lanka, and they haven't beat them, and hence they're in this position. So they don't have anybody else to blame but themselves, and it's unfortunate that a team of that quality finds themselves in such a situation. But so is the truth. It's what it is right now. And with looking at how things are going, and the momentum I think currently is with Pakistan, I see them playing in that 4th spot for me.
Well, there's an interesting take, and the only thing in England's favour, which Owen Morgan has said, and I don't think it's just about clutching at straws, is that at least it's in our own hands. They can win 2 and they get it.
Yeah.
It's always good for a team, the way they look at it, and I know TV is typically going to say just look at it as if you're playing quarterfinals. You're playing a round of 16, you're playing a quarterfinals, you have to play the semis. You basically play four games.
So, it's also, I'd be very surprised if England actually beat India.
No, upset's fine.
No, it would be an upset, but you wanna give credit and respect to the players and the quality of players that they have in that unit. But if they beat India, I'd be really surprised, because I don't see a team being dominating as India is and beating India the way India are playing right now.
Well, to be fair, I think, whichever way you look at it, in the context of the tournament as such, it would be an upset. But let's come back to the game today. As if he hadn't done enough with his hat-trick, he was handed the ball and he was once again lethal. From the beginning, he came in with that first spell, and then at the end, when Virat Kohli gave him the ball, listen, we want to get back in the dressing room. It took him just one delivery. And West Indian style, since Joy mentioned it a moment ago, it was a very West Indian style wicket of the 1970s and early 80s. Our My 11 Circle MVP, none less than Mohammad Shami, 6.2 overs, 4 with 29 dot balls, and that was an absolutely phenomenal spell of bowling. As I said, hat-trick against Afghanistan, and this time around, once again, it was him and Jasprit Bumrah who bowled in tandem so well. But I think what sums it up really is what you said earlier, is Bhuvaneshwar Kumar's wondering, again, it's not a bad thing, it's a team sport.
It's a team sport, is not a bad thing, and I think the great thing about it is the way Shami's used his opportunity. And Shami's always had certain skills in his ability. They talk about his seam position and everything. What really has been the difference for what I've seen in Shami in the last year and a half has been fitness. Maybe it's the Indian team, maybe it's a physio, maybe somebody's telling him, but he's looking much, much fitter than he ever has any time in his career, and that's fantastic. I mean,
Yeah, I think he's used everything that's happened in his life and really channelized it and used that to actually carry him forward. And it takes a lot of courage, grit, determination to actually convert all those negatives and all that negative attention and convert that into something so positive and so strong. So credit must be given to him because there's a lot of character. It shows that he's a man of immense character and he's got that strength within himself to actually produce these kind of results in spite of what he's going through.
Does it sometimes push you even harder when you go through things like that?
Yeah, of course it does. Because sometimes you can be in the most difficult place in life and you can use those things to actually give meaning to life and go out there and you know, do your best in whatever you're doing. It could be playing sport for the country, it could be, you know, 9-to-5 job which you're passionate about, you know, and you'll be giving your best because you'll be appreciative of what you have.
I remember the first time, you know, I really had a chance to meet Shami was in that season 2011 when he joined us. And halfway through this season, he said, Joy, I have one request. And I said, what is it? And he said, they have my name down wrong in the CAB registry. His name was actually registered as Shami Ahmed. So he went out there and they said that we can't change it. It's too difficult. So a guy is saying, this is not my real name. My name is Mohammed Shami. My name is not Shami Ahmed. And this, we can't change it. And then, fortunately, then he was in KKR. We went hammer and tongs at it. They had it changed. And then he became Mohammed Shami. So can you imagine? In cricket, a guy who's playing for India, at that time playing for Bengal.
On his debut against Pakistan.
Yeah, absolutely. They had his name wrong.
I'd be very keen to see how the English batsmen bat against him because I've played against Shami and I know how good he is with the new ball. He can make a batsman feel extremely silly about himself, right? He's got the ability, the seam position that just makes it do enough, and then you just have to like resort to what's going on and say, okay, you know, if the ball, like, you just get behind the line and it hits your bat, fine. If it just goes past you, then you just say, okay, fine, doesn't matter. You don't try not to let it affect you, but in real time it makes you look really silly. It makes you feel like you don't know how to bat. It makes you feel like he's bowling and you just don't know what to do with the bat. You know, he has that ability to do that to a batsman. So for me, I'd be very interested to see how, if Jason Roy is playing, Jason Roy and Bairstow, see how they, you know, stack up against him, and not just as Bumrah is you know, is going to cause trouble, but just against Shami, I'd be interested to see how they play.
But the good thing again is, just to finish off on that Virat Kohli, what he said at the end of the game, he said, yes, we have had our problems with the bat, but the good thing is if you can come out with it, once you've made a total like close to 270, you know that you can obviously, it's always going to be difficult to chase that down.
Absolutely. And there were two things. One is the way he would have been gladdened by the way Dhoni ended, where he started, where he ended. And I think that other thing that would have given him a lot of happiness was that catch, because, you know, it's a kind of catch that Dhoni took, and suddenly the talk around, and you can see by Dhoni's body language, he's saying, I'm not that old yet, boys, you know, get off my back, I'm not that old. And it was a superb catch, a reflex catch taken, you know, the finest of Dhoni's, you know, showing what he is, and it just sets you in the field. Dhoni's taken a lovely catch, bowlers have bowled well, all's well with the world, you know.
And I know, I'm glad Joy is saying it, because he was the one who was saying earlier that, and it's a good thing. It's a good thing to be proved wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. As I think, I know he's, you know, he's a big rooter of Dhoni, and he wants Dhoni to come good and do well. And, you know, based on the situation that he was given, I think he did his best today. And you know, I know he likes to be proved wrong. I've had that with him.
There you go. All right, so that's the banter we're looking for, because there's no one who, I can tell you, if you're a fan and you say something critical about someone you love, it's because you love them enough to want them to do even better.
Course, yeah.
But we love all of you when you're competing against each other. But there's only one who can be a winner on this particular day, which is our My 11 Circle Beat the Expert champion. And he's from Paschim Bongo. Well done. Tapat Ghodai. Well done, sir. 464.75. All the other states were walking away with it. Rajasthan, Karnataka also came and took it. But this time I think it's come to Bengal for the first time, I believe.
Yeah.
The first
Beat
time
the
I've
expert
seen,
champion.
definitely the first time I've seen.
Yes. The expert, of course, being Saurav Ganguly. So it was a very internal battle. But believe me, there's no influence that he had. He's sitting in England, making his team, and well done, you beat that. So let's just have another look at the points table, where it stands right now. India on 11 points, but they played one game less than Australia, who've got that little yellow Q next to them, having guaranteed their spot up there. India almost in the semi-final. They've got one foot in there. They just need to push that door and get into that semi-final. They've got matches coming up fairly soon after having a bit of a drought. Well, next up, it's going to be a battle that is going to be very critical for one team. One team already eliminated, that is South Africa, but for Sri Lanka travelling up to Chile, Durham, Chesterler Street, it's going to be lots and lots to play for. First time we're going to see action up in that newest of all the counties, and whether or not they enjoy the weather, Sri Lanka know that they're playing against an eliminated side. Yes, who'll be playing for a lot of pride, but they wouldn't have expected, and they're the team who have caused so much in this tournament after beating England.
They have.
They've got something to live up to now.
Yeah, they have. They've really thrown a hammer into the works, haven't they? And I think they'll be giving themselves a very good chance because it's up north, and you know that the conditions are going to be favourable for their seam attack. So they'd want their seam attack. They'd be hoping that the wicket's a little more conducive for seam, so that they can put up any score. And you know that when Malinga turns up, you really have a chance to win any game. So they'd really hope that Malinga turns up tomorrow along with Udana and Nuwan Pradeep. And that pace attack can really win it for them.
Which probably means that we saw these three gentlemen playing in the last game, so it doesn't look like they're going to necessarily make any changes. Malinga was there, Pradeep was there, Isuru Udana was there, Pereira playing the supporting role. So I think with Avishka Fernando, that one question that was answered from early on in the tournament, we kept saying, when's he going to play, when's he going to play? He played, he's shown his class. So reckon 11?
Don't change the side. It's fine.
I don't think they're changing.
Don't change the side. I think they'll keep the same side. I think they'll go with the same team, and they should. You know, I think the class that Avishka Fernando has shown, that you know he is a player for the future, and the fact that he's playing this World Cup will hold him in good stead in his own career moving forward. And I think it's important that he plays. He's a part of this team growing from here. So later on, if there is a leadership role available for him in 5-7 years' time, you know, he will be able to take that up as well.
Yes, let's talk about South Africa for the moment, and we probably think that's one place you'll see a lot of changes, because once you're gone, you're out of the tournament, starting to prepare for the future. Maybe anyone who hasn't got a game, get them in there. So let's have a look at the South African squad, what they have to choose from. We saw Dwayne Pretorius early on in the tournament. Buran Hendricks got a game, then went back out. So I reckon anyone who's not highlighted, just get them in there.
Yeah, they might even rest Tahir if they want to do it. They can look at it two ways. One is that. The second is saying that we want to get a couple of wins under our belt and go out well. So that's also possible. It really depends on what that dressing room is all about right now. But yeah, I would rather they play a strong team and say, you know, let's at least prove what we are capable of as a team, rather than, you know, walk out there and just give it up. Yeah. And if that's the case, I mean, they have to play fast bowlers, because given the conditions out there, I think they'll stick with the same team. If that's the case, of course, if you're right, it could be possible. They'll say, okay, let's give youngsters a chance.
Yep. Yeah. What would you do?
I'd leave it the same. You know, in spite of them being knocked out, they're still playing a World Cup. A World Cup game still is as important as for any of those players within that group. So you know that these games are important for them individually as much as it is as a group. So they know that they will be playing for pride. They are hurting. You could see it. There's a lot of disappointment within the group. You could see that emotions were flying in the previous game against Australia. I think it was, where emotions were flying a bit, and you don't generally see that from South Africa a lot. But when you see such scenes, you tend to understand that you know, it's a team that's hurting and is trying their best, and they've gotten a little desperate. You know, that's the kind of situation they're in. So you know that they'll come hard tomorrow as a team, and you also know that they will play their best team. I think they will play their best team.
Yes, of course, you will have to wait for the final 11s. For us, it's just speculation and possible pre-match analysis, but wait for the final 11s to be declared before you actually select your My 11 Circle team. Once the app is downloaded, pick Sri Lanka versus South Africa. Dada will have all the information possible about what the teams will be, but even he'll have to wait for the toss to happen till you get those final 11s. Get your team in, and Dada Kavada, 5 times the amount of cash. But just to finish, we talked so much about MS Dhoni, who had one bright spark on either innings, really. It's that finishing touch, the finishing kick he had with the bat, and that phenomenal catch that made him look like an 18-year-old. But Virat Kohli very aptly in post-match said, listen, every time MS Dhoni something or the other goes wrong in the middle, people start pointing fingers at him. But he said he knows exactly what to do, especially when he needs to get those extra 15, 20 runs.
I could say, what was I saying at the mid-show? You know, that's because I said MS is someone who's always played the situation, always played the bowlers under the conditions that are available on that particular day. That's just who he is. He's never gone there to kind of dominate or anything of that sort. Maybe early on in his career you saw that a little bit because of how strong he was and you know how much impact he had on the game. But after a point you saw his game transform and it always became situational. He always played a situation. You send him in a situation for 10 for 2, you know for a fact that he will bail you out of that situation. You know for a fact that he will not give his wicket to you. He will take a body blow for the country, for his team, but he will not throw his wicket away. And we've all seen that within the dressing room. We've all seen that sitting outside. So imagine in this game, because of the way he played last game. So in the last game, he stepped out and got out, like trying to play a big shot. He got out stumped, and people said a lot of things about him and negative things, that he should retire and he's not good anymore and this and that. Imagine if he had gotten out the same way, trying to play aggressively to score runs today. What would people say? People would be talking about, bring Rishabh Pant in, he's done.
But he could have got out. He was a clear stumping.
He could have, but you know, so you know that plays in the back of people's minds, right? Because no matter what is said, even if he's someone who doesn't read the papers, energy comes across, right, to people, and I'm a big believer of that. So and I know that would have an impact on anybody, irrespective of how mentally strong you are. It has an impact, and he quickly realized that, hey, this is not the solution. I need to quickly move on to what the solution is for this game. And that's what he moved on to. So you saw even when Hardik came, he could have easily gone after the bowlers because he was batting for longer. But he said, no, I'll stay today. I'll stay for the team. Especially after Virat got out, he decided that he'll stay for the side right till the end. And that's what he did. He batted through for India.
And of course,
got India to that total.
Since Robin mentioned the papers, when he picks up the paper tomorrow, he'll see what Virat Kohli said about him, including saying he's a legend and he not only knows exactly what he's doing, but we can feel that he knew, for example, that 260 was an okay total, and that's what he conveyed.
No, I think he definitely knew 260 was an okay total. I think obviously he had that momentary rush of blood which happens, you see. My only condition to this is that it just doesn't make him sense. If you want to see the best of Dhoni, don't bat him at 5.
Yes, that's my whole concern. Right from the get-go, I've been saying, you know, if you want to replace your number 4 for Rahul, bring DK in because he's a batsman. He's like a proper batsman. He's been a good finisher for India in the last couple of years. Bring him at number 5 because that's his natural position. Bring MS up to number 4 because he is the man that will bail you out at any given situation in the time when things are going bad for the Indian batting lineup. So you can at least, you know, stop that flow. He can ebb that flow when such a situation occurs. Say for instance, today he had gone in at number 4. Then things would have been different. You know for a fact that if he gets in 10 balls, you know for a fact that he'll bat through. He'll hold one end up. And that would give Virat the freedom to go ahead and bat the way he wants to bat. Give everybody else the cushion to go and bat the way Hardik batted today. So that would be, I reckon, in my sense, I feel that would be the ideal batting lineup for India. Openers, Virat 3, MS 4, DK 5, Kedar and then Hardik 7. You know how strong that looks right now, and you also have 5 bowlers plus Kedar Jadhav. That gives you 6. I'm not saying. See, the thing is, I don't think World Cup is a stage where you thrust someone into a position which he isn't necessarily used to. You know, you got to feel for Vijay Shankar. You know, I'm not saying he's not up to it, but the experience in such a big tournament under pressure matters. And unfortunately for the lad, he doesn't have it at this point in time. I'm pretty sure that if you give him, like, if he had 25 games in that position saying that, hey, you're going to be batting number 4 for India, and 18 months ago said, you're going to be batting number 4 for India, so just bat at number 4. And I promise you, by the time he came around here, he would have been a different player.
And we've been all talking about the previous number 4s from India in past World Cups, be it Nazaruddin, Tendulkar. The names are all there, and it's an important position to bat at. Well, 2 questions left to be answered. One was answered by Virat Kohli, which is the message that he was sending to Team England, and to the rest of the world, saying we can win from any position. The second question left unanswered is today's Joy Factor question, which Joy has the answer to.
Absolutely. And this is an easy one. It was slammed right past me. So who's the only cricketer to have scored over 40 half centuries in one-day international cricket without scoring a single one-day 100? And Misbah-ul Haq, 42 50s and 5,122 runs without a single century. In fact, Gautam, remember you were talking about it when he scored that test century.
Yes. When we thought about, imagine scoring a test century at the same number of balls as Vivian Richards, and then saying that,
century,
wait, hang on, the same guy hasn't got an ODI 100? Something's wrong there, but it's true.
So, he has the most interesting career of all. And of course, I'll thank him from the bottom of my heart. He's one of my favorite players. Anyone who tried that scoop at that on the last ball.
I think this man remembers that.
Yes, I do. but he's an extremely effective player. I think he played with a lot of pride for his country, and someone who
got you, he nearly took it through that.
Yeah, as in he plays with a lot of pride for his country, and he plays out and out for his country. I don't think he looks at personal achievements at all, and that's an example. He's a world champion, by the way. He's won a World Cup. So he is a world, and so that shows you don't need to do something special to be a world champion.
2009 in England.
Go out there and play for your team and give your best to your team, and then there are different ways in which that's reciprocated.
In context, I was going to ask Robin how many, whether he did think that particular shot was going for 6, but he's been asked that 6,848 times. So I won't ask it one more time.
No, I'll tell you about that. That's quite interesting actually. When he played that shot, I was in long on. And my first issue was who's in short fine leg, and I knew when Jogi was bowling that I think Sri was at short fine leg, and Sri had this issue about astigmatism, and he had like these lenses, right? And back then you didn't get very good lenses for astigmatism, and so when like Sri, there were a lot of times in the simplest of catches he'd take it on his chest. He would he would do this and go through him, and even this catch you could see when he started here, his eyes were still here, the ball came and landed and just closed on its own. You won't believe, like, literally while I was running in, looking at him, I was like, please take the catch, please take the catch, please God, please God, please God, please God. That was exactly what was on my mind. Like, please just take it. And even today, I think he will say to you that, I don't know how I took that catch, that was just pure God's grace.
What a way to finish. I'm glad I did ask the question finally. Excellent. Well, in all this excitement, we do have a winner who did spot the man who got out on that occasion in September 2007. But we are talking about his big hundreds or lack of hundreds in ODI cricket. Devansh Agarwal, he's also won it before.
He's got a few.
Yeah, he's got a few. He's probably number 4 in the rankings after Crick Rohit at 111_Devansh. Well done. It was well spotted there. Rohit was sleeping on this occasion. So that's the way we finish off today. It's been a wonderful, wonderful effort from Team India. Clinical, as we said when we started the show, and decimating the West Indies, who are now out of the tournament. India march on. Just time to say thank you to Joy and to Robin.
Rohit wasn't sleeping today. Rohit was not feeling well today.
He didn't hear you. That is even better than it going straight through Srishant.
Rohit was just not feeling well today.
We love conspiracy theories, don't we? We'll come and discuss a few of conspiracy theories, but for that, we have to go off air. So thank you all for watching. We'll see you again. My 11 Circle presents Cricbuzz Live.